Alright, so we're here for round one. Hand looks pretty solid. Certainly one of the times I wish I had a Scryland instead of this Tranquil Cove, but what are you going to do, you know? Certainly one of the worst parts about playing a control deck versus the beatdown version of this deck is that your opening hands are just a little bit looser, you know? Like, you have a higher average converted mana cost in general, so you're going to get hands like this. So it kind of makes you want more lands, but at the same time you need to draw a reasonable amount of spells because the games are fairly attrition-based. So I'm going to play the Shivan Reap instead of the Temple. I'm not trying to take a bunch of damage from this Foundry Street Denizen, so I think I just want to kill that. Alternatively, I could kill this Crusader, I suppose, depending on what he does, but we'll see. So just another Crusader, that means I want to strike this thing. This is definitely one of the matchups where I wish I had Anger instead of Magma Jet most games, and maybe that's enough to make that change, but we'll see. The one Disdainful Stroke is also pretty bad in this matchup, so right now we're not looking too hot, especially since this land ETB's tapped, and I think we need that, but it's so strange because ideally I would just fire off the Steam Augury next turn, so I'm not even sure I can really take that Mystic Monastery, but at the same time, it's like, how many ETB untap lands do I have? I have 12, so that's 14, so I have 13 left in my deck. Yeah, so I think I have to keep this. Certainly not happy about it. The silver lining, I suppose, is that I'm almost certainly casting Dissolve next turn. So if that's the case, then I don't really need to play Steam Augury next turn. So you have a Mountain of 1-drops, which is to be expected. It's kind of what their deck does, you know. Just swarm you. This deck's pretty popular right now. A lot of Hammer Hands, a lot of Dragon Mantles and whatnot. So if he doesn't cast anything, I'm going to be kind of salty about not being able to play Steam Augury, and I would have drawn the untapped land, so that kind of stinks, but now that means I have 5 mana, so now I can play Sarkin, and it feels kind of bad to just use this as a removal spell, but I think I'm basically just trying to buy time until I can play Elspeth. Alternatively, I could have tried to Steam Augury into a land, but I think this is slightly better. So I'm going to kill this Swift Spear. I feel like if he had anything to target these, he would have used them. It's possible he wouldn't have wanted to jam like a Dragon Mantle or Hammerhand onto it, but at the same time, if I Sarkin a Crusader, he still has a Crusader, so I think killing this might take away more damage. Now, I'm hoping that he just like attacks Sarkin with one of these, so I get to kill a guy and then save a point of life. And then maybe play Elspeth either next turn or almost certainly the turn after with the Steam Augury. So we'll see how things go. He's got a Rabble Master. That's pretty good. That's going to kill me pretty quickly. I'm going to need to get this Elspeth online next turn to have a shot, I think. And it does look like he's finishing off Sarkin, which is probably pretty smart on his part. Could also draw an End Hostilities. That'd be great. Jeskai Charm, not the best. I could try and put this Rabble Master on top of his deck for next turn. That might actually be the play instead of Steam Augury. I think I like my chances better if I'm doing that. And then this gives him a window for him to stoke me also, which I want him to do, so that I can actually use this Disdainful Stroke. So yeah, I'm going to put the Rebel Master back on top. And then hopefully he stokes me here. Depends what he was planning on playing. I really don't think that he should really do it now, but this kind of like tempts him into doing it, depending on like whether or not he actually saves mana by doing it now. If he's not going to play anything and just has 4 mana, he should just keep Stoke open. But yeah, okay. So best case scenario for me, I think, get to trade 2 mana for 3 mana, I guess, not 4, but get to get this stroke out of my hand because I want to be using all my mana the next couple turns, so I don't think I really would have had a better time to use that, and especially since I would have had 2 dead mana this turn. But now he gets to go for Titan Strength. Gets another guy. So that's 7 damage. I'm at 5, so I really need to draw an untapped land here. And then even if I do draw an untapped land, I might be okay. It really depends on what he has. He's definitely getting through with a creature, so... Okay, well, I drew a Lightning Strike anyway, so... Not a whole lot of point in thinking about it, but now I think I'm in a spot where I need to Steam Augury for an untapped land. Well, I guess I could Lightning Strike and keep open Dissolve, but... might actually be better. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, right, I forgot I put the Rebelmaster on top. So yeah, that gives me a thing to dissolve, so that's good. That makes this play a little bit better. Banishing Light is not an untapped land, so that goes to the bottom. And he's going to Hammerhand this guy, get another token. So now I'm at 1. I'm basically drawing to end hostilities, and even then, it's going to be really hard for me to win. I have to fade so many cards. Well, there's our land. But yeah, he's just going to attack us, so... Rats. Steam Augury did stone cold nothing that game, and it is a testament to basically how bad this card is in the matchup, and I'm going to immediately side it out because I have a ton of cards that can come in here. So end hostilities might be a little bit too slow, and I generally use it as like, if I can live until turn 5, that's great. But for the most part, it's just like I'll sweep the board or deal with all his threats, and then I'll use end hostilities to clean up like 1 or 2 guys. And then I generally just side out all the counter magic here because it's really tough for me to keep open mana when I'm trying to react to all this stuff. I do usually have 2 negates in here though. Which like counters his burn spells, and I think that's better than a dissolve or a nullify. Well, like nullify on the play is not bad, especially since he showed me Rabblemaster. Most of these guys don't have Rabblemaster, so I could definitely see nullify being good. Basically, just want to like shave the expensive stuff. I'll just cut it in a guess. Banishing Light, while it's a removal spell, is really slow here. I'm not I guess he should have Satyr Hoplite, but that's like the one thing that you might want to Banishing Light that maybe you can't, like Magma Jet or Lightning Strike. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep it like this. Sometimes you can steal game 1, but it's not very likely. Especially when you don't have anger. If I did have anger, I'd be pretty happy with my matchup in general, but just not really the case, so... Need to stick a Brimaz and just have him have nothing, but with him having Hammerhand and Stoke the Flames, it's even tough for Brimaz to get there. So this hand's pretty reasonable. I have all my mana, I have a couple Scry lands, I have a Lightning Strike for his 1-drop, and then I can play Mantis Rider, and then he either has to waste his turn Lightning Striking that, or I can just block all his guys. So now, I know that I want to Flooded Strain into Plains, that's just a given. So my options are keep Nullify, and then I can play Nullify or Lightning Strike on turn 2. That's going to deal me a decent chunk of damage, but I think Yeah, so I think with this hand, I just want to dig for a sweeper, basically. Like, I'm not really interested in another one-for-one removal spell. Even another white source would be fine, because that would open up End Hostility and Brimaz for possible top decks. So he's got the Swift Spear, and there's the End Hostilities. So I'm going to fetch a Plains here. And I should just Lightning Strike his guy right now. And yeah, I'm going to do that. I don't think he's going to walk Dragon Mantle into my Lightning Strike. They're generally pretty careful about doing stuff like that. And then I don't run the risk of getting, like, double Titan Strength or whatever. So he actually doesn't have a second land and doesn't have a creature, which is fantastic. I'm certainly fine with that. And now I'm free to go on the Mantis Rider beatdown plan while he is mana screwed. So, one of the things that is pretty nice about playing the Jeskai version of this deck, or even just a list of a blue-eye control deck with creatures, is that you get to go on the offensive pretty easily. You get to turn that corner quickly, whereas normal blue-eye control doesn't really have that option. So Mystic Monastery, it is my 6th land, but I don't really think I need that. I will get there eventually, plus any sort of removal or like a Jeskai Charm to gain life, like that sort of thing would just lock it up for me. So he has a second land, but still doesn't do anything. And now I have a negate, so I get to protect my guys from lightning strikes. So if he was going to strike one of my things, he probably should have done it on his turn. And now we have a Brimaz, so I'll keep that on top. Gives him another thing that he has to deal with. And he just doesn't do anything. So maybe he was just like all in on Swift Spear. So he has another Swift Spear. Pretty obvious Titan Strength, so I'm just going to block and negate that. I could certainly just take it and kill him. I don't think there's anything he could have to stop one of my Mantis Riders, especially since I have negate, but now I get to show him negate when I don't have many copies in my deck, so it might be a thing that he'll play around. And I think that type of play is generally better than going out of your way to not show your opponent cards. Like if I can show him a card that I don't have many copies of in my deck and get him to respect it, especially something like negate where he might not expect it out of my deck against him, then I think that's good. I think that's better than just like not showing it to him and hope that he walks into it at some point. So now I'm on the draw. Nullifies are not great. I'm basically going to have to tap out on turn 3 to do stuff, but I also don't have a lot of interaction on turn 2, so maybe it's worth keeping in. Especially considering he has Rabble Master. I don't know. If he didn't have Rabble Master, I might just do something like Banishing Light. I don't know. What to do? I don't think I can have all 3 nullifies. I draw one on turn 5, it's just dead. So I'm going to swap one for a Banishing Light, and that might be all I do. Yeah, that's it. That's all I'm doing. Let's draw an Anger of the Gods. These aren't Anger of the Gods, but it's pretty close. I have 2 Lightning Strikes. So he leads with Crusader. That's kind of poor for me since he's on the play. He's going to get a chance to make a bunch of 1/1s, and now we might just be put in a spot where we need Anger or we need this Mantis Rider to live, and I don't like either of those positions. So they go Swift Spear into Dragon Mantle, and now I'm facing down 4 points. Elspeth I drew is certainly a ways off. So I'm going to get a Plains and strike his Crusader right now so he can't target it and make more things. If I was on the play, I would like my spot in this game a lot, just because I would get to kill his Crusader before he got to do anything. So now he gets a Mantle up the token. And, you know, certainly could have played around that by, like, leaving mana open and stuff, but I think it's better to just get the Crusader out of there. Especially since I can't deal with a swarm of things. So I take a little bit more damage this turn, but I think I take less damage in the long run. Depends what else he has, I suppose. Oh, I have so many things. I just want to draw my 2 and 3 drops, and that's it. Well, there's an end hostility, so we have a game plan. Game plan is try and live to Wrath. I don't think that's going to be the case. So we have an Anger on top, but we don't have double red. So, unfortunately, going to have to ship that one. And I'm passing the turn here. Now I'm in kind of a precarious position where the Swift Spear, Titan Strength interaction is pretty good against my Lightning Strike, so I probably won't be going after that. I think I'm just going after this Soldier token. We'll see what they do. They want to start pumping. So there's one pump, has mana open, pumping twice. Okay, now it's time to strike it. So that turn ended up going pretty well for me. Just take 2 down to 10. I drew another Anger, which would be great if I can draw red. Hopefully this Mantis Rider can do some work. What I really wanted was a land. 6 cards though with a Mantis Rider, like, don't like my spot. I mean, if he uses Lightning Strike to kill the Rider and then I draw an untapped red source, that would be great. Then I can sweep the board. I take 1 because the only untapped red source I can draw is a Pain Land, which is always kind of frustrating. But yeah, so there's the Lightning Strike. Yeah, I take 3. Prowess. So I draw a Monastery. So now I have Anger next turn, but I'm at 7. Just drew too many big spells. Need those Rams. Ram, Brimaz, Anger on time. All those are great. Alright, so there's a Rabble Master, so I'm going to be taking a million damage here. 3-4 down to 3, and then any burn spell kills me. Here's hoping I can draw an untapped land and then Anger with Negate back up, but not super likely. Oh yeah, I go down to 2. Okay, so it did draw an untapped land, so that's step 1, I suppose. So there's my first Anger of the match when I'm at 2 life. Not the best spot to be in. I think this is the the best way to do things. So I'm going for the Hammer Hand. I get to negate that. So alternatively, I could have like cast the End Hostilities and hoped that nothing bad happened. 2 Hammer Hands. Alright, so the second one gets me. Alright, so yeah, I could have cast End Hostilities there. And just like not giving them the window to have a burn spell, but I feel like if they have a burn spell, they're going to untap and try and play it. So that kind of gives me the best of both worlds, where I get to keep open, negate for a potential burn spell, but also if their recovery play is just like creature, 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 then I can end hostilities or play Elspeth, and then I think I'm okay. But second Hammer Hand got me, so Kind of crazy. Just ended up having all these big cards in my hand that I couldn't live to cast. So certainly one of the downsides, but I do have plenty of cards in my deck that are pretty good against them. And this is, I think, the first loss I've actually taken to this deck. So overall, not that bad of a matchup, but maybe could use some Anger of the Gods main deck.